I need to stop everything and speak directly to you right now. What I'm about to share isn't speculation. It isn't wishful thinking. It isn't spiritual entertainment designed to make you feel momentarily inspired. What I'm about to reveal are 3 prophecies that are unfolding in your life at this exact moment. 3 cosmic patterns that only the truly awakened can recognize. 3 undeniable signs that you are not who you think you are. You are so much more. Before we go deeper, type "I am chosen" in the comments right now. Not as a casual gesture, but as a declaration to the universe that you're ready to see what most people will never see, to know what most people will never know, to become what most people will never become. This isn't about ego. This is about recognition. This is about you finally acknowledging what your soul has known your entire life. If you're watching this video at this precise moment, understand something critical. You didn't find this randomly. The algorithm didn't accidentally suggest it. Your thumb didn't coincidentally scroll to this exact point. You were guided here. Your higher self orchestrated this moment. Something in the invisible architecture of reality made absolutely certain that you would be sitting exactly where you are, watching these exact words at this exact time. Because what I'm about to tell you is information your soul has been desperately trying to get through to your conscious awareness, and this video is the delivery mechanism. Let me ask you something, and I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. Over the past few months, maybe even the past few years, have you noticed relationships dissolving? Friendships that once felt solid now feeling hollow and empty. Conversations that used to energize you now draining you completely. Family connections that used to feel natural now feeling forced and uncomfortable. Social situations that used to be enjoyable now feeling absolutely intolerable. Have you been watching your social circle shrink? Have you been spending more time alone than you ever have in your entire life? Have you been feeling isolated, disconnected, like you're living on an island while everyone else exists in a completely different world? Have people been calling you distant, saying you've changed, accusing you of being different than you used to be? If any of this resonates with you, if you've been experiencing this systematic removal of people from your life, if you've been feeling this profound sense of isolation, listen to me very carefully. This isn't rejection. This isn't failure. This isn't evidence that something is wrong with you. This isn't punishment from the universe. This is the first prophecy manifesting in your physical reality. This is what I call the Great Severing. The Great Severing is a spiritual phenomenon that happens to every chosen one without exception. It is the universe systematically removing you from everything and everyone that vibrates at your old frequency. It is reality itself forcing you into isolation so that the transformation that needs to happen can actually occur. And while it's happening, it feels like loss, like loneliness, like abandonment. But that's not what's actually occurring. Let me explain the mechanics of this. You are not the same person you were a year ago. You're not even the same person you were 6 months ago. Your frequency has been rising. Your consciousness has been expanding. Your awareness has been growing. And as that happens, there's an energetic incompatibility that develops between you and the people who knew the old version of you. Those people, your old friends, your family members, your former social circle, they're not bad people. They're not doing anything wrong. But they resonated with who you used to be, not who you're becoming. They connected with your old frequency. They understood your old operating system. They related to the version of you that was asleep, that was unconscious, that was living on autopilot. But you're not that person anymore. You've been waking up. You've been questioning everything. You've been seeing through illusions that most people still believe are real. You've been feeling things more deeply, perceiving things more clearly, understanding things more profoundly. And that shift in you creates a gap between you and the people who haven't been going through the same transformation. They can't understand you anymore because they're not operating at the same frequency. Conversations that used to flow easily now feel strained and superficial. Inside jokes that used to make you laugh now feel empty and meaningless. Activities that used to bring you together now feel like obligations you dread. The connection is dying. Not because anyone is wrong, but because the resonance is gone. And here's what most people don't understand about this phase. The universe isn't being cruel. The universe is being strategic. Because if you stayed connected to all those old relationships while trying to transform into your higher self, the energetic dissonance would tear you apart. You would be trying to exist in two different realities simultaneously, trying to maintain your old connections while stepping into your new frequency. And that split would create confusion, suffering, and ultimately stagnation. So the universe, in its infinite wisdom, does the work for you. It creates situations that naturally cause those relationships to fall away. Misunderstandings happen that create distance, conflicts arise that make connection difficult. People drift away for reasons neither of you fully understand, and while it's happening, you feel the pain of it. You feel the grief of losing people you cared about. You feel the loneliness of being misunderstood, but that loneliness is sacred. That isolation is necessary. That separation is the cocoon phase of your transformation. Think about the caterpillar. Before it becomes a butterfly, it doesn't just sprout wings and continue crawling around with its caterpillar friends. No, it isolates itself. It withdraws completely. It builds a cocoon around itself and enters a phase of absolute solitude. And in that cocoon, in that isolated space, the caterpillar literally dissolves into liquid. Its entire physical structure breaks down completely before reorganizing into an entirely different form of life. If someone opened that cocoon during the transformation to check on the caterpillar, to see if it was okay, to make sure it wasn't too lonely, they would kill it. The isolation isn't optional. The isolation is required. It's the only environment where such a radical transformation can safely occur. You are in your cocoon right now. The great severing has pulled you away from your old world because you're in the process of becoming something completely different. And you cannot complete that transformation while maintaining your old connections. They would pull you back. They would keep you attached to your old identity. They would make it impossible for you to fully step into who you're meant to become. So if you've been feeling isolated, if relationships have been falling away, if you've been spending more time alone than ever before, understand what's really happening. You're not being abandoned. You're being prepared. You're not being rejected. You're being protected. The isolation you're experiencing is the first prophecy fulfilling itself in your life. It's confirmation that you're right on schedule with your destiny. And here's what comes next. Once the transformation completes, once you've fully embodied your new frequency, once you've stabilized in your elevated state, new connections will form. But these connections will be completely different. You'll attract people who resonate with who you've become, not who you used to be. You'll form relationships based on your new frequency, and those relationships will feel deeper, more authentic, more aligned than anything you've experienced before. You won't go back to your old social circle, trying to fit in again. You won't attempt to rekindle friendships that naturally faded. Those connections served their purpose for that chapter of your life. But that chapter is over, and trying to go backward would be like a butterfly, trying to squeeze back into its cocoon. It doesn't work. It's not meant to work. You've outgrown it. Now let me ask you something else. Something that you might have been afraid to admit to anyone because you thought they'd think you were losing your mind. Have you been seeing things lately? Noticing patterns that others miss? Feeling energy in ways you never did before? Knowing things about people without anyone telling you? Having dreams that feel more real than waking life? Experiencing synchronicities so elaborate they can't possibly be coincidence? Maybe you keep seeing specific numbers everywhere. Not just once or twice, but constantly, obsessively, to the point where it feels like reality itself is trying to communicate with you. Maybe you walk into a room and immediately sense what happened there, even though there's no physical evidence. Maybe you meet someone for the first time and instantly understand their deepest wounds, their hidden gifts, their soul's purpose, even though they're a complete stranger. Maybe you're having prophetic dreams, visions of future events that then actually happen in physical reality. Maybe you're feeling other people's emotions as if they're your own. picking up on energy fields, sensing presences in empty spaces. Maybe you're experiencing downloads of information, sudden knowings that flood your consciousness with understanding about topics you've never studied. Maybe you think of someone and they immediately text you. Maybe you know who's calling before you look at your phone. Maybe you sense when something significant is about to happen before any physical signs appear. Maybe you're accessing memories that don't belong to this lifetime, remembering places you've never been, knowing languages you never learned, understanding concepts that no one ever taught you. If any of this is happening to you, if your perception is expanding beyond the 5 physical senses, if you're accessing information through channels that science doesn't acknowledge, you're experiencing the second prophecy. This is what I call the awakening of hidden sight. Understand something crucial. These are not new abilities being given to you. These are dormant capabilities being activated. Every single human being on this planet has these capacities encoded in their consciousness. But for the vast majority of people, these abilities remain switched off for their entire lives. They're born with this potential, they live with this potential, and they die with this potential, never once accessing the full spectrum of perception available to them. But you're different. Something in your energetic system is activating. Something that's been asleep is waking up. Codes in your DNA are switching on. Dormant neural pathways are lighting up. Your pineal gland is decalcifying and beginning to function as it was designed to function. Your third eye is opening. Your intuitive channels are clearing. Your energetic field is becoming more sensitive to subtle frequencies. And as this activation happens, you're beginning to perceive layers of reality that most people cannot see. You're accessing information through intuition, through energy sensitivity, through direct knowing, through psychic reception. You're moving beyond the limitations of physical perception into the expanded awareness of spiritual perception. This is happening to you right now because you're being prepared. The mission you're here to complete, the role you're meant to play, the contribution you came to make, it requires enhanced perception. You cannot navigate what's ahead of you with ordinary awareness. You need to see beyond the surface. You need to sense beneath the obvious. You need to know what's hidden. You need to perceive what's invisible. Every prophet, every mystic, every healer, every enlightened master who ever walked this planet operated with this kind of perception. They could see what others couldn't see. They could know what others couldn't know. They could access information through non-physical channels, and you're developing those same abilities right now. Not because you're special in an egoic sense, but because you're chosen in a functional sense. You have a specific assignment to complete, and that assignment requires you to perceive reality in ways that ordinary consciousness cannot. So your system is upgrading. Your consciousness is expanding. Your perception is becoming supernatural. Let me be very clear about what supernatural means. It doesn't mean magical in some fantasy sense. It means operating beyond natural physical laws. It means accessing abilities that transcend the limitations of material reality. It means functioning from a level of consciousness that most people don't even know exists. And here's what you need to understand about this awakening. It comes with responsibility. The more you can see, the more you're accountable for. The more you can sense, the more you're responsible for how you use that sensing. You're not developing these abilities for entertainment. You're not gaining these gifts for ego validation. You're receiving these capabilities because they're tools you'll need for your mission. Some of you are going to be healers. You're going to work with energy directly, helping others clear blockages, activate dormant potential, and restore balance to their systems. And you'll need to see energy fields, sense what's happening in someone's body before they tell you, know what they need before they ask for it. Some of you are going to be teachers. You're going to guide others through their own awakening process, helping them understand what's happening to them, giving them maps for territory they're navigating for the first time. And you'll need to perceive where someone is in their journey, what lessons they're learning, what challenges they're facing. Some of you are going to be warriors. You're going to stand in spiritual battle against forces of unconsciousness, deception, and control. And you'll need to see through illusions, discern truth from lies, recognize agendas that others can't detect. Some of you are going to be creators. You're going to birth new realities, new systems, new paradigms into existence. And you'll need to access inspiration from higher dimensions, download blueprints from the quantum field, perceive possibilities that don't exist yet. Whatever your specific role is, these abilities you're developing are perfectly calibrated for what you came here to do. Nothing is random. Nothing is accidental. The specific ways your perception is expanding, the particular abilities that are activating, they're exactly what you need for your unique mission. So if you've been experiencing these phenomena, don't dismiss them. Don't rationalize them away. Don't let skepticism talk you out of what you're directly experiencing. This is the second prophecy manifesting. Your hidden sight is awakening because you're being prepared for what you came here to do. And now we come to the third prophecy. The one that's probably driving you to watch this video right now. The one that's creating this restless, relentless, almost unbearable pressure in your chest. Do you feel it? This strange urgency. This sense that time is running out. This knowing that you're supposed to be doing something significant, but you're not quite sure what it is yet. Do you wake up in the middle of the night with this overwhelming feeling that you need to start moving, start creating, start building something, even though you don't know exactly what? Do you go through your daily routine feeling like you're playing a role in someone else's life? Like the person doing these ordinary tasks isn't the real you, like the real you is trapped inside screaming to get out and do what you actually came here to do? Are you feeling increasingly frustrated with surface-level conversations, unfulfilled by accomplishments that used to satisfy you, restless in situations that used to feel stable? Are you experiencing this growing disconnect between the life you're living and the life you know you're meant to be living? And is that gap creating constant internal friction, constant dissatisfaction, constant knowing that you're not where you're supposed to be? If this urgency is consuming you, if this sense of unfulfilled purpose is dominating your consciousness, if this feeling that you're running out of time is intensifying every single day, you're experiencing the third prophecy. This is what I call the unbearable call. This isn't anxiety. This isn't restlessness from lack of meaning. This isn't existential crisis. This is your soul screaming at you that preparation is over, that waiting has ended, that everything you've been through, every challenge you've survived, every lesson you've learned, every wound you've healed, has been preparing you for this moment. And that moment is now. Your soul remembers why you came to this planet. It hasn't forgotten the agreement you made before you incarnated into physical form. It knows the mission you volunteered for. It understands the role you agreed to play during this specific time in human history. And it's watching you live a life that's smaller than what you agreed to, safer than what you came here to create, more comfortable than what your destiny requires. And so it's creating this internal pressure, this sacred discomfort, this divine urgency that won't let you rest, won't let you settle, won't let you continue sleepwalking through a life that isn't aligned with your true purpose. This urgency you're feeling is your soul's alarm system. It's the eternal aspect of your being that can see the bigger picture, trying to wake up the human aspect that's gotten distracted, comfortable, or afraid. And the alarm is getting louder. It's intensifying. Because contrary to what most spiritual teachings say about time being an illusion, when it comes to your mission, timing actually matters. There are cosmic windows. There are evolutionary opportunities. There are collective shifts happening on specific timelines. And you incarnated specifically to be here during this window, to contribute during this shift, to play your role during this transformation. You didn't come here to watch from the sidelines. You didn't come here to be a passive observer of reality. You came here to participate, to create, to lead, to serve, to contribute something that only you can contribute. Because only you carry your unique combination of gifts, experiences, perspectives, and frequencies. But here's what happens to most chosen ones. They feel the call. They recognize the urgency. They know they're meant for something significant. But then fear kicks in. Doubt creeps in. The ego starts asking questions. What if I'm wrong? What if I'm not actually special? What if I fail? What if people judge me? What if I'm delusional? What if I can't do it? What if I'm not ready? And those questions create hesitation. That hesitation becomes procrastination. That procrastination becomes years of waiting for perfect clarity, perfect circumstances, perfect timing, waiting for all the answers before taking the first step, waiting to feel completely ready before beginning, waiting for external validation before trusting internal knowing. And meanwhile, the urgency intensifies. The internal pressure builds. The disconnect between current reality and destined reality becomes more painful. The soul's alarm gets louder and louder, until eventually, if the person still won't respond, the soul creates a crisis, a breakdown, a dark night, a tower moment, a situation so uncomfortable that staying the same becomes more painful than the risk of change. And finally, forced by circumstances, the person moves. Finally, they start. Finally, they say yes to what they've been called to do, but only after unnecessary suffering, only after wasted time, only after the easy path was no longer available. What if you didn't need the crisis? What if you could respond to the call now, before the soul has to force you through difficulty? What if you could honor the urgency before it becomes unbearable? That's what I'm inviting you to do. That's why you're watching this video. Your soul made sure you found this message because you're ready, because it's time, because the urgency you're feeling isn't going away by ignoring it. So what is your purpose? What are you actually here to do? I can't tell you the specific details because that information only you can access from within. But I can tell you the general categories. You're here to create, to heal, to teach, to lead, to awaken others, to transform systems, or some combination of these. Maybe you're meant to create art that carries frequency, that shifts consciousness in people who experience it. Maybe you're meant to heal through energy work, through holding space, through your very presence. Maybe you're meant to teach truth, to share wisdom, to help people remember what they've forgotten. Maybe you're meant to lead a movement, a community, a collective shift. Maybe you're meant to disrupt old paradigms and birth new possibilities. You'll know which one by paying attention to two things. What breaks your heart reveals what you're here to heal in the world. What lights you up reveals how you're meant to serve. The intersection of those two things is where your purpose lives. Now here's what happens when all three prophecies are active simultaneously. When the isolation has done its work, when your supernatural perception is online, and when the urgency has reached critical mass, you arrive at a convergence point, a threshold moment, a doorway into destiny. This is where you are right now. You've been isolated long enough that you're no longer energetically attached to your old reality. You've developed enough supernatural perception that you can navigate beyond ordinary consciousness. And you're feeling enough urgency that you're finally willing to risk everything to step into your purpose. All three prophecies have manifested. All three conditions have been met. You're standing at the threshold, and the only thing left is the choice. The decision to walk through, the willingness to leave behind what's familiar and step into what's unknown. Because here's the truth. Even when you're completely ready, even when all signs are pointing you forward, even when the universe has prepared everything, you still have to choose. Free will is absolute. You can stand at the doorway of your destiny and still decide not to enter. You can be fully prepared and still choose safety over calling. And if you make that choice, the universe won't force you. It won't punish you. But you'll know, deep in your soul, you'll know you said no when you should have said yes, and that knowing will haunt you worse than any failure ever could. But there's something else happening that I need to address. Something most spiritual teachers won't talk about, because it's uncomfortable, because it doesn't sound appealing, because people don't want to hear it. If you're experiencing the three prophecies, there's a fourth element occurring simultaneously. And if you're going through this right now, it's absolute confirmation that everything I've told you is real. You're being systematically dismantled. Not destroyed, but deconstructed at the deepest level. Everything you thought you knew about yourself is being questioned. Every identity you built is crumbling. Every role you've played is feeling false. Every mask you've worn for years is becoming unbearable to maintain. The person you've been pretending to be, maybe for decades, maybe your entire life, is dissolving. And it's terrifying, because you don't yet know who you're becoming. You're in this strange liminal space where your old self is dying, but your new self hasn't fully emerged yet. You look in the mirror and don't recognize the person staring back. You hear yourself speak and wonder whose voice that is. You make decisions that surprise you. You feel emotions you've never felt. You think thoughts that seem to come from somewhere else. This isn't a psychological breakdown. This is a spiritual breakthrough disguised as dissolution. Your soul is demolishing the constructed self, so the authentic self can finally emerge. Think of it like tearing down an old building before constructing something magnificent in its place. You can't build a palace on a foundation designed for a shack. You have to clear the ground completely first. Every false identity you've carried was adopted for survival, for acceptance, for safety. You learned to be what others needed you to be. You learned to perform roles that kept you loved, approved, included, and those roles served you once. They got you through childhood. They helped you navigate social structures. They protected you from rejection. But now they're suffocating you. Now they're prisons instead of protections. Now they're keeping you small instead of keeping you safe. Your soul is liberating you from those prisons. And liberation always feels like loss before it feels like freedom. You're grieving the death of who you used to be, even though who you used to be was never fully real. That grief is valid. That confusion is normal. That disorientation is part of the process. Honor it, feel it, but don't let it stop you. Because on the other side of this dissolution is the truest version of you that's ever existed. The you without masks. The you without performance. The you that's pure essence, pure authenticity, pure power. Let me tell you what really happens when you finally say yes to these prophecies. When you stop resisting and start surrendering. When you choose destiny over comfort. Because most people imagine some magical instant transformation where everything becomes easy, clear, perfect. That's not reality. Here's what actually happens. The universe immediately tests your commitment, not to punish you but to strengthen you. Not to make you fail, but to prove you can handle what's coming. The moment you say yes, opportunities appear that require you to back up that yes with action. Situations arise that force you to choose between old life and new calling. People challenge your decision. Circumstances tempt you to retreat. This is initiation. This is where most people fail. They say yes in a moment of inspiration, and then when tests come, when difficulty arrives, when the path isn't smooth, they interpret that resistance as a sign they made the wrong choice. They think if this was really their destiny, it would flow effortlessly. But that's not how destiny works. When you commit to something significant, when you claim a powerful calling, the universe doesn't make it easy. The universe makes you worthy of it. Every challenge after saying yes is an opportunity to prove you're serious, committed, not going to quit at the first obstacle. Think about every hero's journey. The hero receives the call. The hero says yes, and immediately the hero faces trials, tests, enemies, obstacles. That's not bad storytelling. That's accurate mythology. That's how transformation actually works. Saying yes doesn't end difficulty. It begins the real journey. So expect resistance, expect obstacles, expect challenges, but understand what they are. They're not evidence you're on the wrong path. They're confirmation you're on exactly the right one. The universe only tests what it's preparing for something significant. And now we must address the responsibility. Being chosen isn't a privilege without cost. It's not spiritual status that makes you special while requiring nothing. Being chosen means you're accountable. Accountable for using your gifts. Accountable for fulfilling your mission. Accountable for becoming who you came here to be. There are people who need what only you can provide. Lives that will be changed by your presence, your work, your contribution. Futures that depend on you showing up and doing what you came to do. And if you don't, if you choose comfort over calling, safety over service, those people don't get what they need. Those lives don't change. Those futures don't manifest. That's the weight. That's the weight. That's the responsibility. Once you know who you are and why you're here, you can't unknow it. You can't go back to sleep. You can't pretend you're ordinary when you know you're not. You have to carry that knowing and do something with it. This doesn't mean perfection. This doesn't mean you won't make mistakes. This doesn't mean you won't have doubt, fear, exhaustion, but it means you keep moving forward. You keep showing up. You keep saying yes, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. So what do you actually do now? How do you take these prophecies and turn them into lived reality instead of inspiring concepts? First, stop waiting. Stop waiting for perfect moment, perfect clarity, perfect circumstances. Start with what you have right now. Take action on whatever fragment of purpose you currently understand. If you're meant to create, start creating today, even if imperfect. If you're meant to heal, start practicing. If you're meant to teach, start sharing what you know. Second, build evidence. Your logical mind needs proof. This is real, that you're not delusional, that your gifts work. Create experiences that generate proof. Use your perception deliberately and notice when it's accurate. Take action toward purpose and notice when doors open. Trust intuition and notice when it guides correctly. Each piece of evidence grows confidence. Each boost in confidence enables bigger risks. Each bigger risk generates more evidence. This is heaven's assessment of your readiness, overriding your self-assessment. This is divine intelligence, knowing you're prepared, even when you don't feel prepared. This is cosmic wisdom, recognizing you're equipped, even when you doubt your equipment. So when opportunities appear that seem too big, when advancements happen that seem too fast, when progress occurs that seems too rapid, don't interpret that as evidence you're not ready. Interpret it as evidence that heaven knows you are ready even when you don't feel ready. And here's another aspect of this timeline compression. It's cumulative. The acceleration isn't just happening in one area. It's happening across multiple dimensions of your life simultaneously. Your relationships are accelerating. Your finances are accelerating. Your purpose is accelerating. Your spiritual gifts are accelerating. Your influence is accelerating. Your impact is accelerating. All at once, all simultaneously, all in compressed time frames. This is multi-dimensional acceleration, holistic fast-tracking, comprehensive timeline compression. And the result is that you're becoming in months who you thought would take years to become. You're achieving in seasons what you thought would take decades to achieve. You're manifesting in compressed windows what you thought would take extended periods to manifest. This is the power of divine acceleration. This is the impact of supernatural speed. This is the result of heavenly fast-tracking. These are the 7 shocking miracles manifesting for chosen ones right now. Supernatural financial provision, sudden relationship restoration, unexplainable physical healing, divine doors opening, prophetic dreams and visions, supernatural protection, accelerated timeline compression. And if you're experiencing even one of these, you're in the flow of divine favor. If you're witnessing multiple miracles, you're in a season of unprecedented blessing. If all 7 are manifesting in your life, you're experiencing the fullness of what I warned was coming. I told you this was happening. I warned you to prepare. I said something extraordinary was about to manifest. And now it is. Right now. In your life. As a chosen one who did the work, cleared the space, prepared for this moment. So recognize these miracles. Acknowledge divine intervention. Thank heaven for supernatural manifestation. Because this is just the beginning. What you're experiencing now is setting up what's coming next. And what's coming next is even greater. The miracles you're witnessing now are establishing momentum, creating trajectory, building foundation. They're not isolated events. They're not one-time occurrences. They're the beginning of a pattern, the initiation of a season, the start of a movement. What heaven is doing in your life right now is creating a new normal, establishing a new baseline, setting a new standard, the impossible becoming your new possible, the supernatural becoming your new natural, the miraculous becoming your new regular. This is what happens when you align with divine timing, when you engage with cosmic windows, when you respond to heavenly opportunities. The miraculous stops being rare and starts being regular. The supernatural stops being occasional and starts being consistent. The impossible stops being surprising and starts being expected. You were warned. Now you're witnessing. Everything is changing, just like I said it would. And it's only going to intensify. The miracles will multiply. The manifestations will increase. The supernatural interventions will become more frequent, more powerful, more undeniable. Because you're not just experiencing a moment. You're entering a season of divine favor, a season of supernatural blessing, a season of heavenly manifestation. So stay alert, stay aware, stay attentive, because more is coming, greater is arriving, bigger is manifesting. The 7 shocking miracles are just the beginning. What's next will be even more extraordinary, even more impossible, even more miraculous. You were warned. Now you're ready. Everything is changing, and you're changing with it. This is your moment. This is your season. This is your time. The miracles have begun, and they're not stopping. Third, find your people. The isolation was temporary preparation, not permanent state. Now deliberately seek others on similar paths. Not old friends who won't understand. Not people who'll talk you out of your calling. But other awakened souls experiencing what you're experiencing. Those connections will sustain you through challenges ahead. Fourth, make your commitment non-negotiable. Decide turning back isn't an option. Decide giving up isn't available. Decide that no matter how hard it gets, how many obstacles appear, how many people doubt you, you're seeing this through. Make a soul-level commitment that you're fulfilling your purpose or dying trying. When you make that level of commitment, when you burn bridges behind you, the universe has no choice but to support you. I need to tell you something urgent. The timeline for all of this is accelerating. The window for stepping into your purpose isn't infinite. We're in a specific cosmic moment, a specific evolutionary window where the veils are thinner, the frequencies are higher, the possibilities are greater than they've been in thousands of years. But that window won't stay open forever. There's a closing coming, not in some fear-based doomsday sense, but in the natural rhythm of cosmic cycles. Opportunities that are available now won't be available later. Doorways that are open now will close. The ease with which you can step into your calling right now will become much more difficult if you wait. This is why the urgency you're feeling is so intense. Your soul knows this. Your higher self understands the timeline. And it's creating maximum pressure right now, because right now is when you need to move. Not someday. Not eventually. Not when you feel completely ready. Now. Let me leave you with this final truth. These 3 prophecies, the isolation, the awakening perception, the unbearable call, they're not happening to you randomly. They're not cosmic accidents. They're not spiritual coincidences. They're the universe's way of preparing you, activating you, positioning you for what you agreed to do before you were born. You made an agreement. Before you incarnated into this physical body, before you forgot who you really are, before you took on the limitations of human consciousness, you made a promise. You volunteered for a mission. You said yes to a calling. And everything that's happened in your life, every challenge, every wound, every lesson, every triumph, every failure, has been preparing you to fulfill that agreement. The 3 prophecies manifesting in your life right now are confirmation that preparation is complete. Training is finished. The time has come. Your soul is ready. The universe is ready. The only question is whether you're willing. Are you willing to trust the isolation served a purpose? Are you willing to use your awakened sight for your mission? Are you willing to answer the call before it becomes a crisis? Are you willing to say yes even though you're scared? Are you willing to step forward even though you can't see the entire path? Are you willing to become who you came here to be? Type "I am willing" in the comments right now. Let that be your declaration. Let that be your commitment. Let that be the moment everything changes. Because on the other side of that willingness is everything you've been searching for. Your purpose, your people, your power, your destiny. The 3 prophecies are unfolding. The signs are undeniable. You are chosen. You are awakened. You are called. Now you must answer. Now you must move. Now you must become. This is your time. This is your moment. This is your destiny manifesting. Don't let fear steal what the universe has prepared for you. Say yes, mean it, live it, become it. The world is waiting for what only you can bring.